everyone, a very good afternoon to all of you and welcome for one more amazing session in this YouTube channel of ODA Class. So first of all, tell me, how are you guys? Let me know in the comment box. How are you all doing? That's great. Once again, a very good afternoon and welcome for this amazing session. So today I'll be teaching you the types of friction. So if you haven't watched the previous video about the friction and its uses, so the link will be in the description box and you can watch that video as well. But today class I will be dealing about different types of friction, okay, and what are its uses and how do we use that in our day-to-day life, everything I'll be teaching in today's class. So are you guys ready for this session? That's great, that's great. But before moving on to the actual session, so now you are with me in YouTube live, right? So you can ask me some doubts in the comment section, that is all fine. But after the YouTube session, you cannot contact me, right? But you can be the part of our amazing ODA family by joining the booster course, which is starting from coming Monday, right? What is this booster course? This is complete 6 days course where you will be learning maths and science from teachers from IIT and NIT, right? It is a complete 1 week course. Everyday homework, you can do it on the app only. Test will be conducted. We are going to provide you study materials as well. Along with that, I'll be assigning you one personal mentor teacher and you'll be getting their contact number. You can contact them at any time for any of the doubts you have, okay? So if you want to join this amazing booster course, the link is in the description box. You can click on that link and pay the fees as per your grades. It may be 29, 39, 99. So you can check it and join the booster course from coming Monday, okay? So let me start the class with my introduction. So my name is Surabhi and I'm Master Teacher of Science at ODA Class. Coming to my education, I have completed my Masters in Chemistry from Jain University, and yes, I was the university topper. I have more than 4 years of teaching experience in which I have mentored international Olympiad rank holders. So are you guys ready to start today's amazing session about different types of friction? Let me know. Shall we start? Yes? That's great. That's great. So before moving on to types of friction, as I told, we have to learn something, what is friction and everything, right? So in the previous video, I actually taught you what is friction, uses of friction and bad effects of friction. Let us quickly revise that, okay? If somebody asks you what is friction, it is actually a contact force. Is it clear to all of you? Friction is actually a contact force. So whenever two surfaces are in contact, there is a frictional force and it always opposes the motion. This is very, very important, okay? If you want to move from left to right direction, frictional force always opposes your motion from right to left direction. It always opposes the motion and it is a contact force. Is it clear about the definition of friction, everyone? That's great. So now, how this friction is caused? Friction is caused by roughness and irregularities of the surface, right? Whenever there is rough surface, higher will be the friction, and whenever there is smooth surface, lower friction will be there. This is actually very, very important point. How you can remember? H, R, L, S, okay? Whenever high friction will be there, the surface will be too rough, and whenever low friction will be there, smooth surface. You can take the example of sandy surface and marble surface, right? Sandy surface is actually very rough. That means higher friction will be there. But when it comes to marble surface, it's actually very smooth because no frictional force will be there. Very less frictional force to oppose the motion, right? So that is why we can easily fall on wet surface because very low frictional force will be there, okay? So this is very important. And then we learned about uses of friction and why we should learn about this friction, because there are some uses in our day-to-day life. So friction helps us in walking on the floor, because see, now I can easily walk on the floor because frictional force is opposing my motion, right? If it was a very smooth floor without friction, I would have fallen, right? So friction always helps us to walk. Writing, so now I can easily write anything on this board because there is a friction between the pencil tip and the board. Vehicles moving, so vehicles can easily move because of friction, and you can control the movement of vehicle because of frictional force, and also sharpening of knife and everything because there is contact between two surfaces. So these are some uses of friction, and when there is some good thing, there will be some bad things, right? So what are the bad effects of friction? It actually produces heat energy which is actually wasted. So when you rub your hands together, this is also a form of friction because there is a contact force, right? So if you rub and if you touch it, you feel the warmness. So heat energy is produced which is actually wasted here. That is one bad effect. Wear and tear. So when you walk continuously, what happens? The sole of your shoes or the slippers, that will wear and tear, and moving heavy object is very difficult. You cannot lift or you cannot move the heavy desk or anything, but if you apply wheels on them, that is very easy, right? So friction always opposes the motion. You cannot move the heavy object from one place to another. So these are all the bad effects of friction. So when there is something bad, we have to find some solutions, right? So how we can find the solutions for this? Because these bad effects are caused by frictional force. So if we reduce the frictional force, then these bad effects will not be there. So how to reduce the frictional force? Because friction is caused by roughness, right? Friction is caused due to roughness of the surface. So if we reduce the surface, right? If we reduce the roughness of the surface, if we make the surface smooth, then we can reduce the bad effect. So how to reduce the friction? By smoothing the surface. How you can smooth? By polishing it, right? Whenever there is smooth surface, less friction will be there. By using lubricants. And what are lubricants? The substance which reduce the friction. For example, we put powder on carom board to make it very smooth, and we use oil, grease, all these things are lubricants which reduce the friction. And also using wheels. So you cannot move the heavy suitcase, but if you have trolley like thing, you can easily pull because wheels will help to reduce the friction. Is it clear about all the uses and bad effects and ways to reduce the friction? This in detail we have studied in the previous video about all these things. You can go for the description and you can check the link for the previous video as well. Okay, so now today what are we going to learn? Today we will be learning about different types of friction. Okay, so actually there are four main types of friction: static friction, sliding friction, rolling friction, and fluid friction. It's actually very easy. I'll be teaching you in a very simple manner. So are you guys ready to learn that with me? Chalo then. Let us start with static friction. Okay. So static means you just have to remember rest. You're not moving at all. So if I'm standing still, that is actually static. So I'll give you a very simple clue. Static means rest. Just remember this word. You can easily understand what is static friction. Okay. Frictional force that acts between the surfaces when they are at rest with respect to each other. For example, this is sofa. This is object number 1 or surface number 1, and floor is surface number 2, right? So there is a friction between the sofa and the floor, but both are not moving at all, right? Sofa is also not moving and the floor is also not moving. Both are at rest. They are in contact, but there is a friction between them. So friction between two surfaces when they are at rest. So sofa is also at rest. This floor is also at the rest. Both are not moving. So here we have static friction. Is it clear? Static is nothing but rest. If I am standing still now, I am not moving, the floor is not moving, but there is a friction between my foot and the floor, right? So that is actually called as static friction. Let us see some examples for that. Table lamp resting on the table, right? So here you can see this is the lamp surface and here you have table surface. There is a contact between two surfaces, but both surfaces are not moving. So here you can see this static friction. This is one example. Second example is very useful in our daily life, right? Towel hanging on the rack. So this is rack, surface number 1, towel, surface number 2. Both are not moving, but there is a contact between two surfaces. So hence here we have static friction. So static means both the objects or both the surfaces should be at rest. Not only that, walking. So now you might be asking, ma'am, while walking we are actually moving, we are not at rest, right? See, while walking what happens, see here, just observe this foot, okay? This is surface number 1 and ground is surface number 2. This leg is not moving now, right? See, other leg is in the movement, but this leg is not moving. Both the surface are in contact and both are not moving. So while walking also, for a fraction of second, we have the static friction between our legs and also on the ground. Is it clear? This is actually very confusing question which you get in Olympiad examination, whether walking is dash type of friction. So actually there are two types. The first one is static friction. Is it clear to all of you? Okay, then let us solve one question. Sprinkling powder on carom board dash friction. As I told, powder is actually lubricants. It is a lubricant, right? So what are lubricants? So lubricants actually reduce the friction, decrease the friction, right? And when the friction decreases, it makes the surface smooth. I hope it is clear now. So now let us move on to the second friction, that is actually sliding friction. So I'll give you the clue here also. What you have to remember, sliding is equal to sliding. Simple. Sliding is equal to sliding. So resistance that is created between any two objects when they are sliding against each other. So in static, they are not moving. It was at rest. But here what is happening? They are sliding. There is a movement, sliding movement, right? So I hope all of you have played this game in your childhood. Yes, now also you guys might be playing this, right? Slide. I used to play a lot when I was a child and I used to get hurt a lot also. So here what is happening? This is surface number 1 and this is surface number 2, right? Our body. So actually there is sliding movement between the slide and our body, right? So that friction is called as sliding friction. Not only that, rubbing both the hands together. So when you rub hands, what happens? So there is a sliding movement between surface number 1 and surface number 2. So this is also actually sliding friction. And also wipers in vehicles. So wiper is actually surface number 1. The glass is actually surface number 2. And when the wipers are moving like this, there is a sliding friction or sliding contact between the two surfaces. So hence there is sliding friction. And very common example, daily life example, lighting a matchstick using matchbox, right? So this is surface number 1 and this is surface number 2. When you just light it up, there is a sliding friction between the matchstick and the matchbox. Is it clear about sliding friction? All of you please let me know, clear about sliding friction? That's great. Now let us move on to the third one, that is actually rolling friction. So here also, of course, I'll give you the clue to remember, hint. So rolling is equal to wheel. You just have to remember wheels. Whenever you see something in circular fashion, then there will be rolling friction, okay? Force resisting the motion of rolling body which can roll like this, and weakest type of friction. This is very, very important. So in rolling friction, so if I ask you, I'll just give you a floor, right? Two surfaces I'm giving. In first surface I'm keeping the box, second surface I'm keeping the wheel. So which will come faster, which will move faster, a box or a wheel? Exactly, that will be wheel, because this rolling friction is very weak. This friction which is opposing the ball is very weak, but here it is actually sliding friction. It's high compared to the rolling friction, right? So rolling friction is the weakest type of friction. Like less opposing movement will be there when compared to sliding and static friction, okay? So rolling friction is the weakest type of friction and force resisting the motion of any rolling body. For example, here this is a wheel which wants to move like this, but rolling friction always in the opposite direction, and rolling friction is the weakest type of friction. I hope it is clear. Let us see some examples. So roller skate wheels, you can easily roll like this, but very small amount of friction will be there between the wheels, surface number 1, and the ground surface number 2. So that is actually rolling friction. Not only that, wheels of the moving vehicles, any vehicles you might take, bicycle or car, bus, anything. So there is a wheel which is moving. So this is surface number 1 and ground will be surface number 2. So there is a friction between the wheel and the ground, hence it is rolling friction. Now I have a question regarding rolling friction only. Which tire experiences more friction? Of course, when it comes to wheel, it will be rolling friction. Now tell me which tire is experiencing more rolling friction, tire A or tire B? Think and let me know in the comment box, please. Okay. Try to answer, everyone. Be quick. Tell me which tire will experience more friction. I can see both, most of you are telling both A and B will experience same, but no. Actually, A will experience more rolling friction because see, it has got more surface area. It is actually wide, but this is actually very thin, right? So what you have to remember, more area or more surface area, more friction. More friction will be there. Okay, if the area is more, then friction experience will be more. So that is why A will experience more friction. Tire A will experience more friction. So now answer this question. Rolling friction is smaller than what? I told you rolling friction is actually weakest type of friction. It's actually the weakest. Okay, so it is smaller than sliding friction, static friction, fluid friction, all of them. So answer will be all of them because rolling friction is actually the weakest. Okay, it is weaker than sliding friction, weaker than static friction, weaker than fluid friction as well. Is it clear to all of you? That's great. Let us answer one more question. Which of these statements is not correct? That means which one is the wrong statement here? Let us read all the statement. A ball moving on a horizontal surface stops due to force of friction. That means there is a horizontal surface, ball will be there. After some time, it will stop. This is because of friction. Statement 2, force of friction helps us to walk on the ground. That means we can easily walk because of frictional force. We will not fall because of frictional force. Wheels are spherical in shape as rolling friction is less than sliding friction. So here they are telling rolling friction is less than sliding friction. Last statement, tires have grooves to reduce the friction. What do you mean by grooves? Irregularities. Yes, grooves are nothing but irregularities. Like tire will, if you have seen a tire, it will not be very soft, right? It will have marking like this. So these markings are present to reduce friction. That means to make the tire surface smooth. So tell me which statement is wrong here. Let me know in the comment box, everyone. Okay. Yes, of course, the statement D is wrong, right? So why there will be grooves on tire? That is not to reduce the friction, to increase the friction. Okay, we want the tire surface to be rough, not smooth. So smooth tires, if they are there, we will fall. We can easily fall. The vehicles can easily fall. Whenever you apply brake, it might skid. But yes, we should make the surface rough by increasing the friction, and so that is why statement D is wrong here. Now coming to the last type of friction, that is actually fluid friction. So first of all, tell me, what do you mean by fluid? Can you tell me in the comment box, what do you mean by fluid? Okay, I can see many different comments. Exactly. So fluid is nothing but, let me answer it. Fluid is equal to anything that can flow. Okay, anything that can flow from one place to another. So liquid, all the liquids are fluids because liquids can flow. And also gases, all the gases are fluids because gas also can flow, right? So liquids and gases are the example of fluid. So now coming to fluid friction, that means the friction which is experienced in liquids and gases. Okay, so friction that occurs between the fluid layers that are moving relative to each other. So when you put some vegetables inside the water, what happens? There is a friction between layers of this water, right? And fluid friction help us to swim in the water also, because there is a friction between two water layers. And yes, some more examples, flow of ink pens, because in ink pens we are using ink, which is a liquid, so that is why we have fluid friction there. Not only that, movement of ship, because direction of motion is here and fluid friction will be in the opposite direction. So whenever it comes to liquid or gas, because here it is water which is liquid, so of course fluid friction will be there. Answer this question now. Which of these frictions is largest in magnitude when compared to others? So you have to tell me which friction is having, like which is the highest friction, right? Rolling friction was the weakest, but which one is the highest? Can you tell me where there is no movement at all? So friction force is acting so high, in which friction it is? So rolling friction, we already know that it is actually weakest type of friction. Sliding friction, there is a movement. In static friction, no movement at all are equal. So of course the answer will be static friction, because there is no movement at all. That means friction's magnitude is so high that there is no movement at all, right? But in sliding, there is slight movement. But if I am keeping anything on the floor and if there is no movement, that means it has highest magnitude. Okay, no movement means more friction, right? Because friction always opposes the motion. So this is very, very important to remember. Static friction is greater than sliding friction, which is also greater than rolling friction. Static means rest, there is no movement at all. Sliding means, of course, to slide, you can remember, slide. And rolling is nothing but wheels. Whenever the wheels come, it's actually rolling friction. So this was all about frictional force. Please let me know, is this clear to all of you about frictional force? Like totally in 2 videos we covered what is frictional force, what is friction, and how the friction force is caused, what are the uses of friction, and bad effects of friction, how to reduce the friction, different types of friction. In that we learnt about static, sliding, rolling, and also fluid friction. If it is clear, let us quickly start the introduction of energy chapter. Please let me know. Is it clear to all of you? That's great. Now if it is clear, let us start with energy chapter. So tell me how many of you are energetic now? Because we are learning about energy, you should be energetic. Tell me how many of you are energetic. That's great, all of you are energetic. So let us start with what is energy. So you are telling that, ma'am, we are energetic, but what is energy, right? Energy is the ability to do work, okay? Actually, if you want to do anything, for example, now I'm teaching you guys, you're listening to me, I'm walking, you might be sitting somewhere. For doing any kind of work, even if you want to eat, you need energy, right? So if you want to do any work, you need energy. So energy is the ability, or you can also say capacity. Okay, energy is the ability or capacity to do work, and it is actually conserved quantity. You can save energy. Actually, you can save the energy, so that is why it is conserved quantity. And very important thing what you should remember is law of conservation of energy. So what is law of conservation of energy? Can anyone tell me in the comment box? What is law of conservation of energy? Don't know? No problem. I will help you. Definitely, I'll teach you. So, energy can neither be created nor be destroyed, but it can be converted from one form to another. Okay. So, you cannot create energy. From your side, you cannot create energy, or you cannot destroy some energy also. Only thing what we can do is we can convert it from one form to another form. Okay, that is what you should remember. Energy can neither be created nor cannot be destroyed. It cannot be destroyed also, but it can be converted from one form of energy into another form. Is it clear to all of you? We can change the role of energy, form of energy, but we cannot create the energy or we cannot destroy the energy. I hope it is clear to all of you. That's great. Now, where is this energy? Where is energy? Can anyone tell me? Can you see energy? Where is energy? Okay. Yes. Actually, energy is everywhere. Okay. Energy is present everywhere. The other term what you can use is omnipresent. Okay. What do you mean by omnipresent? It is present everywhere. So in each and everything, as I told, even if you're doing any work, so sleeping is also actually work, okay? There also energy is required. So energy is present everywhere. If you're doing any work, that means energy is there, right? So energy is present everywhere. And actually there are 7 main types of energy which we have to study, okay? 7 main types of energy which we'll be studying is actually heat energy, kinetic energy, electrical energy, light energy, sound energy, potential energy and chemical energy. So these are the 7 main types of energy which we have to study. So now tell me, how many of you are facing difficulty in remembering all these 7 types of energy? Let me know. Be honest with me, it's okay, I'll give you some trick to remember, but tell me honestly, how many of you are facing the difficulty to remember this? Yes, you might get confused, heat, kinetic and everything, but don't worry, you are at ODA class, so you have the trick to remember. So can you tell me what's happening on the screen? What is this boy doing? So you have chips and a boy eating chips. So what is that? Boy is eating some chips, that is what you can say. And which chips it is? Of course it is potato chips. So based on this, there is one trick which you can easily remember for remembering the types of energy. He keeps eating lightly salted potato chips, okay? He keeps eating lightly salted potato chips. So now, how is this related to types of energy? As you can see here, he keeps eating lightly salted potato chips. So H is for heat energy, K is for kinetic energy, E is for electrical energy, L is for light energy, S is for sound energy, P is for potential energy, C is for chemical energy. Can you all remember this? Let me know, all of you, can you remember this? Heat energy, kinetic energy, electrical energy, light energy, sound energy, potential energy and chemical energy, okay? So we will be studying in detail about all these 7 different types of energy in the upcoming video about all different types of energy, right? So if you want to learn such things with us, as I told, you can be the part of amazing ODA family. You can quickly join the booster course which is actually starting from coming Monday, okay? What is this booster course? Complete 1 week course where you will be learning with the teachers from IIT and NIT. So 1 week duration it will be there. You will be having 3 maths and 3 science classes, total 6 days course it is, and you have to do the homework on ODA app itself, and test will be conducted. Very important, we are providing study materials for all the chapters what we are teaching in the booster course. And very important thing, I'll be assigning you one personal mentor teacher. You can contact them at any time, okay? You will be getting their contact number. You can contact them at any time, not only for ODA homework doubts or ODA class doubts. If you have any doubts in your school exam or a school exam question paper, or if you need any help for school exam preparation, if you have any doubts in school homework, school projects, school assignments, you can take the help from your personal mentor teacher. So how to join this booster course? There is a link in the description box. Go and click on that link, and after that you have to pay the fees as per your grades. It may be 29 rupees, 39, 49 or 99 based on your grades. Once your enrollment is done, you will be getting a call from our personal mentor teacher, okay? And as I always say, learning with ODA is actually fun learning, because once you join the booster course in ODA app, you will be getting some ODA coins, okay? Actually, you will be getting some ODA coins. From that coins, you can actually redeem some gifts like smart water bottle, smart watches, sound bar, mobile phones, and also Amazon vouchers and many more gifts in ODA Mall, right? So if you download the ODA app and if you join the booster course just at 29 rupees or 39 rupees based on your grade, you can easily get access to redeem some gifts as well. So hope to see you there in the booster course. Until then, everyone, take care. I'll see you in the next video where we are going to learn about different types of energy, okay? So thank you so much everyone. Have a good day. Bye-bye.